All right. Hello, my name is RC,
My name's Mike.
and today we're going to be playing the game of Ascension, which is
Chronicle of the Godslayer. It's a good deck building game. I love it. I want to teach RC it. I once I can play one-on-one with this. So I'm hoping he'll like it. But we're going to do like a teaching thing and then play a game.
Mm-hmm.
So first, the how cards work. So the way it works is we're each going to take turns. All right, we get a starting deck. The starting deck comes with 8 apprentices and 2 militias. So you have 10 cards total in your starting deck.
Yep.
The apprentices give you what's called runes, which is like money. I just call it money or buy, honestly. And then the militia gives you 1 fight or 1. I think they use the word power, but it's fight because you fight stuff with it. So you have 1 money, 1 power. That's what they give you. You're gonna draw 5 cards a turn, to start your turn, and then you play them to either gain the money and fight, and then use the money to buy things and fight to slay monsters. The whole point of this game is it's basically the flavor of it, or the way I'd explain it is like everyone's going into like a cave or whatever. It's like you're in an RPG. You go into a cave to slay a monster or whatever, and the whole point is the winner is the person who gained the most honor. That's what this stuff is in the middle, honor. So whoever buys the biggest stuff, whoever recruits the biggest allies, finds the greatest artifacts, slays the biggest monsters, that's the person who have the most honor at the end and who's the winner.
And once these are gone, that's the end of the game.
Yeah, once the ones in the middle are gone, that's the end of the game. Though, if you do take the last one, the other person still gets another turn.
Okay.
So the amount of turns are equal, basically.
And the red gems represent 5 honor.
And the little white ones are worth 1.
Okay.
You can actually earn more than is there if we run. So say, for example, if we run out of gems at the end, in the middle, but the other person gets to take a turn, right? If they do anything that earns them honor, they just keep track of it separately, or it can take more out of the bag. That honor still counts.
Okay.
That honor still counts towards your end game score. So that's the honor, that's your victory points basically. You can also get victory points from stuff you have in your deck at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, this one, it's 4 to buy, and this star at the bottom represents how many points it's worth at the end of the game.
Okay.
So at the end of the game, you'll count up all those plus all the honor you have, and that's your score.
Okay.
There's also so like I said, there's 2 currencies. You use the buy currency to buy heroes to put in your deck, and constructs to put in your deck as well.
All right. So we're looking at the number in the triangle there.
Yeah, that's how much it is to buy.
So you can see
that
the
one costs
triangle.
3.
All right.
And if you look at the little circle with a sword on the monsters, that's how much it is to fight them.
Circle sword. All right.
Whenever you buy something or fight something in the center row, or successfully do that, I guess you'll say,
Mm-hmm.
you would then flip a new card, and that goes in the center row.
Okay.
That's every time. It doesn't happen at the end of the turn. It happens immediately. So one strategy you can do is if you don't really like stuff, you can buy something cheap,
Mm-hmm.
and then flip it and see if the next thing is something you actually want. Something of that nature.
Okay.
We don't really have any. The cheapest thing we have is a 3, which I guess is not that unusual, but it's a lot of times you get 1s or 2s.
Okay.
You can also other things that are always available. You have mystics and heavy infantries. Mystics are 3 to buy, and heavy infantries are 2, as you can see. The mystics give you 2 buy. The heavy infantries give you 2 fight, and they're both worth 1 victory point apiece. Technically, when they're gone, you're not allowed to buy anymore, but I've never played a game where we've run out of one or the other.
Okay.
Other than that, when you take your turn, so at the end of your turn, you draw 5 cards. So you have your starting hand ready to go when it's your turn again.
Yes.
Whenever you would draw a card from your deck, you take your discard pile and then shuffle it, and then that's your deck.
Okay.
Okay. Whenever you acquire things like a construct or a hero,
Mm-hmm.
they go into your discard pile.
Okay.
So that when the next time you go through your deck, they'll be in there basically.
Right.
So we'll go through factions here real quick just to get an idea.
Right.
So
do you want to find some in here? Or?
yeah, I guess we could find some. Finally, here's a green one, and here's a. We need the. I think that's actually. I think green is the only
Oh, that's a
one
monster.
we're missing. Actually.
Okay.
I think. think there's like a.
I'm acting like I'm helping, but Mike's the experienced player here.
Oh, here, that's a good example for what a green card does.
Okay.
Okay. So, green, I guess, would be one of the easiest. They usually are like they're focused on buying. They have like the biggest heroes in the game.
Okay.
So they'll give you lots of buy. They'll give you. I think they have a couple cards that fight. It's just not as much, and they let you draw cards too as well a lot of the time. Or and they also sync up with each other. They'll say like if you played another, they call them Lifebound. That's what it's called. The green ones are called Lifebound heroes.
Okay.
It'll say if you played another Lifebound hero this turn, also draw a card, or, like in addition to like gaining money or something.
Right.
This one just gives money and draws a card, but there'll be like a bigger one that like syncs up with them. There's a couple that do that.
And when you draw a card, you get to immediately get that card for that turn, right?
Yeah, you immediately get that card for the turn. So the one strategy you can do with the green is like you try to chain things to try and like play as many cards in your deck that turn as possible to like build up, because usually they'll be like nickel and diming effects on the green cards, but when you play them all together, it usually gives you lots of stuff and it lets you get the big heroes. There's like heroes in green that cost like 7 money to buy, which is usually that's pretty expensive.
Okay.
We have the gray, I guess you call them, the Enlightenment heroes. A lot of them they usually either do like weird effects that you don't find in any other color. Like this guy's like a clone. He copies something you already played that turn.
Okay.
There's no other cards that do that. At least in this. When I talk about like cards that do that, I'm only talking about the base expansion. I'm like if there's other things that I haven't seen, then that's what I'm missing.
Okay.
So they usually just do weird stuff. They also have a lot of cards that are just like card filtering. Like they don't give you like there's one of my favorite cards in the whole deck is a thing called Temple Librarian. It lets you draw 2 and discard 1.
Okay.
That's all it does. But it just helps you like filter out like because one of the things you want to do is you don't want militias or apprentices in your deck after a while because they're just way worse than everything else you could draw. Which brings me to the purple guys or the Void. They specialize in being able to banish things from your deck.
Okay.
Which is good when you want to banish your like militias and apprentices.
Yeah.
Because 1, they're not worth any victory points, and 2, they're just not as good as your other cards.
And it's oftentimes a May ability, so
you
it's
don't
not like
have
you'll
to
be
do it.
crippled by it.
Yeah, and a lot of times you can do it from your discard pile. So if you have played it already, you can take it out of your discard pile. So the next time through your deck, it's just not there.
That's cool.
The monsters usually they give you lots of honor when you kill them, and that's like usually that's the way that honor is taken out of the middle of the game. So like that's one of the weird things about this game is you need someone who's fighting, who or at least has fight in their deck to end the game usually, because the main way that honor gets removed, like there's other cards that do it, but the main way that you're gonna get a lot of honor out of the center of the board is killing monsters.
Okay.
One monster that's always there is the Cultist. He costs 2 to fight, and you can fight him unlimited amount of times. He's just a way for you to dump your extra fight if there's no fight. He's the cheapest monster. Everything 3 is the cheapest you'll find to fight a monster outside of the Cultist. I'm sorry. When I said last, there's actually one more faction. I forgot the Mechana people. So usually the Mechana people. So the way they work is I forgot to put my phone on silent. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I'm sorry. So the way they work is they're like really synergistic with just themselves.
Okay.
Like so for example, they have things that like do effects that are only good for themselves and they're not even that powerful, but their constructs are worth lots of victory points. So like a ratio, like you want to see like a ratio of like how much to buy versus how much victory points is worth. It's like always equal for a mechanic construct, which is really good. So like for example, this like Enlightenment construct over here is 6 to buy, but it's only worth 2 victory points at the end of the game. Where this one's 5 to buy, it's worth 5, but it doesn't do that much. It gives you, this one for example gives you 1 buy a turn, but only toward mechanic constructs. And you're like, oh wow, that's not like that great, but it's worth 5 victory points.
So
and
these things sit out there. They don't go out?
Yes. So when you play a construct, that's the one thing. It's a little tough for newer people to remember. When you play a construct, they just stay.
Okay.
There are ways to kill constructs. Mainly monsters. There's a monster that like basically says to like your opponents have to choose one of their constructs and discard the rest.
Okay.
Usually that doesn't kill them. It doesn't like banish them, but you have to then put them in your deck and draw them again to play them.
Okay.
If a construct, anything that has an ability, you can do it the first turn. So when you play your construct, you can use this ability the turn you play it. But then it's just a static ability you have every turn.
Okay. So like if I were to kill the Mephit, the monster, I would gain 2 honor Yeah. And then that's just me taking these 2 points and putting them in my pool?
Yes.
But if I ended the game with the twofold Ascara in my deck, I don't do anything with these gems. I just count those as points.
You just count them. Yeah.
Right, so
you would just count here and then count here and then you're good to go.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to shuffle this back in.
Alright.
Real quick, and then we can try playing a game. We'll decide who goes first.
Alright.
13.